Hey, this is Pixie doing another video. So I'm going to walk around this little church. I've only been down. I should show you the church ground actually. Take you for a wander. So it's just interesting, right? Sort of little hidden gems, I guess. That's what you call holy ground. Because people have passed away, there's lots of slates and stuff. So let's have a look at that and you'll see lots of that. So yeah, I was going to talk about, so my hair's gone curly. It's kind of, that touches on a bit of MGTOW. Is that I was growing my hair to find out what, you know, basically the more natural version or whatever it is. The better version of me, that's what I'm trying to work towards. And so for over 40 years now, I haven't realised I've had curly hair. I've had wavy hair. And the thing is as well, if you've got curly hair and you keep brushing it every day, you're damaging it and it starts falling out. And so you're encouraging yourself to go kind of like bald. You don't really want that. Right, well, look, it's difficult because the ground I'm treading on has actually got bodies underneath it. I can sense it because basically, so just look at this other bit here. It's a nice way of done it. I don't know what that is. That back is like a little very natural area. Find out. So yeah, basically you want to be the best version of yourself, and ripping your hair out is probably not a good idea. So for the treatment of that, I just wash it and let it naturally dry. But I put a bit of moisturiser on it, and it will just spring up. At the moment it's still damp, but it dries pretty quick on its own. You get a springy sort of effect to the hair. So I don't mind, and also it feels quite soft on against the texture of the neck and so on. It's quite soothing. Another thing I want to talk about, because it's probably a fit in place actually, it's quite nice actually. Look at that. Is ghosts, actually ghosts. I was asleep and I'm aware I've got this I've got this mirror in the other room. There we go, put my hand there. If I'm going to project something. So there's this mirror that's further along the other side of this where the wall is. There's a doorway. There's a doorway, and then on the wall is this mirror. And I was laid in bed, and I had this really bright light, and it was vivid. And I was just drifting off. I become very conscious, and I focused on it, and I could see where the mirror is, the back side of the mirror against the wall. It was really bright, and I looked into it, and I could see this black lady, and she was maybe it was 1950s. It was a little bit rock and roll what she was dressed, and she seemed as shocked as I was. You know, it's like, oh my God, what on earth? But essentially she wasn't alive, but she was almost living in this kind of, maybe we project our own universe around us. So she was kind of shocked, and what I did is I focused in trying to communicate with her, and basically because of the racial segregation at the time, her personal experience, she didn't really interact with people that are Caucasian like myself, and so I demonstrated. I just sort of held a hand. So well, we wouldn't do that, you know, here. And basically, she realised she was passed on. I think she was aware of it, but it was this where she was maybe in a different time as well. She was just sort of overlaying it in the space. So maybe space and time are just like layers, and you can kind of sense things either in the future or the past, depend on that layer, which is quite scary actually, because I think a while back there was a little tremor actually. I was in bed and I could feel the bed sort of move slightly like that, and there was no springs or anything. I just laid flat. It was sort of 5 in the morning, so that was a little kind of earth tremor. So, but that could also be something in the future that's happened that's leaking back in the past. So what that tells me is that area where I felt something like a shock wave could be a lot worse at some other point in time. I don't know. I might explore some other areas actually, because I haven't really seen a lot of stuff. It's different. So I mean, the upshot of the contact I had was I just made her feel that she was welcome, There's no issues there, and to be honest, most healthy people don't get caught up in all this kind of negative dogma, politics, race games, all these sorts of things. We just accept people as they are, and that's a bit more open-minded view of the world. But that's the way I grew up. I didn't grow up with people telling me, "Oh, that's racist," or stuff like sexual orientation. It's not even important. I don't care what somebody does in their private life. It's when they try to orientate my gender and sexuality, then we've got a problem, because they start telling me, I should be like this, or I should be like that, or falling into these norms. A bit like MGTOW is, somebody might say, well, I prefer to be on my own unless I'm going to pair up somebody that really works for me. And, what would happen there is that some people think that's a bit of an odd philosophy to have. But it's what works for me, is to get me to that healthy state, especially the time slot we are at the moment. You've got to be on the ball, really. Because you could easily walk into situations. I'm recently engaging with somebody, but it's basically for a different kind of dating site, and it's just sort of like WhatsApp. She sort of said, "I'd write to you on WhatsApp." She seems to be fair, but I'm also not rushing into any kind of traps, and I don't know if she's genuine. It could be a long scam. You just don't know anything, and I don't mean that nasty. You just don't know with people. They just play games out. There might be some sincerity in there, but that's the thing. The other thing about mirrors, what they're teaching me about mirrors, is that because a mirror on one side reflects physical light, it means energy that's coming in is some energy is going through it. So the energy it doesn't reflect is carrying through, and that's where you get the idea of these portals and things like that, because light closes them down. As it reflects off something, it gives that layer of information, so whatever's behind it is sort of masked or whatever. This is very cool. Yeah, so it's a lovely little church here. There you go, Saint Mary's, probably in reverse. So I sometimes just come here to meditate, so it's a good little quiet spot for it. Especially between jobs, because you need to clear your head out. You get so much stuff. I was up till about 1:30 last night, and what happened was dog walkers. To see what this site is. So down here I'm walking, and I haven't really looked at it. But it's got things about. So it's strictly private. So authorised vehicles must be like cars. I don't really know much. Probably is cars. Oh yeah, it's just where all the moorings are for the boats, really. There's a boat house there. There's no woodlands. I thought there might be a woodland. There's a bit of an allotment plots as well. It's always good fun. We'll have a little wander around. The secrets. But yeah, if you're living off the grid, this is where you'd be. I imagine some people must come down here and just might live down here all the time, you never know. Or it's just what they do. Doing a horn barrel. There's some cars down here. It's a funny old place, actually. People take their dogs for a walk down here, which is all good. There you go, skull and crossbones. And there's beehives as well. So it's lovely. Don't really notice the bees. But it's good to sort of natural resources. And the other thing is, if things are getting a bit crazy, knowing your area is probably a key, because you've got to want to get around places. You've got to know the layout of places as well, and other resources or places you could hide, places you could move into for short periods of time. Because you just don't know, you know, what if, say, there was something happened and the power grid was shut down and everyone's in the dark and there's panic or limited food, something like that, you know, things could kick off. So there's train lines, always get a weird combination to have is the graves and train lines, because they've got things for probably feeding beetles. That's pretty good. Yeah, because sometimes you get a lot of paranormal activity around things like railway lines, because of the electrical energy they're giving off. They're drawing things to have a look at it. But like I mentioned with the mirror thing, is that where it reflects directly the energy field, there's probably going to have a reverse effect. But outside of that, it may be producing energy that can be used by something. You know, like consciousness could be a type of in light. It's what enables it when it hits something or it's flowing different directions to take information back with it. So it's complicated. Anything else I was sort of thinking in my head? Yeah, I noticed if you kind of stargaze, so if you see a star there and it's twinkling like mad, and you try to reach out of your mind, that night, if you're in bed and you just meditate and think about maybe that star, you might have some kind of interaction from that. You might have a being that might encounter or interact. It's like your consciousness has touched a group of consciousness out there. I noticed that because I was looking at it, I was thinking that star's gone, you know, it's really flickering. I mean, the weird thing is, so if you're in space, you can't see stars, because it's all blackness for some reason. But the conscious lens of this planet allows you to see star systems for whatever reason. I don't know. It's a bit more complicated. Why can you see them and not see them? And they say it's because of the atmosphere magnified. I don't think that's true, because you still see pinhole bits of light. It's the frequency of light you can't see. But there could be other things like consciousness, or that they're technically outside of this dimension. So this being inside the world is a dimension. So it's just like holographic construction. And probably end up doing a circuit. And yeah, basically that's kind of what you're looking at as a portal. So, you know, space is just emptiness. And travelling through space is difficult. But if you found a way to travel through the light stream, or the kind of consciousness stream, or this kind of interweb, so it's a arachniverse or something, it's like a web structure. But there's other things I've talked about before, I mentioned like the solar verse, is that because this is Sol is the main star, Sol star, is kind of like it was the go-to god in the past really, worship the sun and moon and things like that, is that it's a good place to start projecting your consciousness. And this is why like Greek mythology, I'd have to probably look at it and how they gave it, they kind of intertwined it with the legends of gods being like mortal, looking like men but not actually being mortals, but representing planets. There's all sorts of knowledge that's wired together, and it's something to sort of explore. So what are they actually telling you? That there's a consciousness behind some planets, or there's other traits, and also some cosmic events. Let's see, maybe somebody hid the knowledge inside stories to give us this to discover in later dates. I don't know. That's really nice of you. See if you can see that.